Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome back or welcome to Bitch Pet Podcast. I'm your host, April, and I hope everybody's enjoying the start of summer. We just had the summer solstice a couple days ago, so yay for that. I'm sure in some places it's already way too hot, and me and my husband got to experience that a couple days ago. Well, not a couple days ago, but a couple weeks ago. We had a interesting month. It wasn't a bad month. It was a pretty decent month, and we had some good times, but it also came with some interesting things that we had to deal with. I've actually been wanting to talk about this for quite a few months, but I had to not do that because then it would have ruined a surprise. Last week, me and my husband ended up going down back to our home state because I was surprising a couple of my cousins. And one of them listens to this podcast, so it would have ruined the entire thing. Hey, cuz. But I've been knowing this trip was happening for a couple of months, and I've been battling with, I don't want to say battling with feelings, but I've had a lot of thoughts and feelings kind of make a resurgence, and then I was kind of having to filter through and deal with those feelings as they came up, and as personally as I could, since I couldn't come on here and talk about it with everybody until after the fact. That way it wouldn't ruin the whole big surprise. Even though he knew I was coming, but nobody confirmed it and nobody denied it either. So it wasn't as big of a surprise as the last time I did it, but it was still a good time and I knew we were going to enjoy ourselves. Me and my husband were kind of dealing with the same type of feelings, because we were basically going back to the place where a lot of pain and suffering and trauma and hurt kind of was. And we have since left that life, and we're different people than we were when we lived there. So it was kind of the first real big time that he was kind of facing that past life since we moved. I had faced it in a couple of instances, but I was going back to the house that really had all the pain and the suffering and the trauma that kind of really happened to me. And we, right before we left, we were having a conversation about it. And I was like, well, how are you feeling? What's going on? And, he was telling me those types of feelings that for him, even just being in the state again was already going to be too much. And just breathing in that same air was just not going to be fun for him. Whereas for me, I was having to actually go back to the house that started it all and had it all happen there. And I was also going to have to be forced to be around the person or one of the people that caused me a lot of trauma and hurt and pain. And I just didn't want to fucking deal with it. And I was telling my husband this, and my husband's biggest reminder to me is always just don't let somebody have that power over you, which I appreciate that he always, gives me that reminder. But that wasn't kind of what I was dealing with during this conversation. I was like, it's not the fact that I'm going to let him ruin this weekend, because he's not. I wasn't going to let anybody ruin this weekend. And that weekend was going to be a weekend that I was going to be able to visit and see and hang out and talk to people that I actually cared about and actually missed and actually wanted to spend what few days I had in that state with. And I was like, and he's not on the list. So I refuse to let him ruin that, because he's not the purpose of this trip. But my biggest thing was that I was going to just have to be around him. I was going to have to hear his voice. I was going to hear his fucking laugh. I was going to have to just... The fact that he was in my presence was already enough. I'm at the point where I don't even want to acknowledge his existence. And the fact that I was going to have to acknowledge his existence in some aspect was what was pissing me off. Because, first of all, let me put this out there. I think we need to normalize letting people not fuck with other people and have it not affect you in your life. Because one of my biggest things going into this weekend was I don't want to have conversations about why I don't talk to this person anymore. And I didn't want to have to explain myself as to why I had these feelings and why I did what I did. It's my life. I have the decision to talk to and not talk to anybody that I fucking want to. And if I decide not to talk to somebody, it's really none of your business. It's none of anybody's business. It's my own personal business. I made the choice that I don't want to fuck with this person. It doesn't affect your life because I'm making that choice that I'm not fucking with them anymore. So I just kind of get the sense that sometimes like people try to make it about themselves, and it's not about you. It's about me and what I decided that I wanted to do with my life and the person that I was going to be. So I was telling my husband this. I was like, I don't want to have these conversations. I was like, someone's going to bring it up and I'm not going to want to fucking deal with it because it's nobody's fucking business. It's my own business. I made that choice for myself to better myself and my life and my peace and my happiness. And he doesn't make the cut. Why is it a big fucking deal? Because when it came to his mom, and just to clarify who I'm talking about my dad's son because he still lives with my dad and I was going to be staying at his house. So I was going to have to deal with that person. And when it came to me cutting off my dad's ex-wife, who's also the mother of his son, nobody batted an eye when I made that decision. Nobody questioned me on it. Nobody gave me any grief for it. Nobody, had anything to say about it, because I think the difference between his ex-wife and his son is we don't see his ex-wife anymore. And I was a lot more vocal and open and honest about why I don't fuck with her anymore. Whereas with his son, he's still around and he's still very much like, I guess, in the family, which is fine. I have no qualms with that. They can do whatever they want with their lives. He's just not a part of my family anymore. I've also been a lot more, I don't want to say closed off, but just my reasons why have been a little bit more close to the chest. Mainly because it's not that I don't want to talk about certain things. It's just, I don't talk about the details of why I don't fuck with him because I have to deal with those details enough. Like, I don't want these thoughts and these memories and these flashbacks and these traumatic things in my own head. I don't want these details in my own head. And the fact that I have to deal with them, it sucks and I'm annoyed by it, but I'd rather me shoulder that weight and me kind of deal with unpacking XYZ about it than having to give somebody else the details. Now they have those details in their heads. Like, it's just not something that anybody should have to think about. And the fact that I have to think about it is already enough. So I just keep it to myself because it's not any details that anybody else needs to have. It's not going to better their life in any way knowing the details of why I don't fuck with this person. Because to me saying I don't fuck with you is enough reason in and of itself. That's the only reason I need. I don't fuck with you. And one thing about me is I don't make decisions lightly. Like, I don't just do things off the cuff. Well, I say things off the cuff, but I don't like when I actively decide and choose I'm going to do this. It's not because I just wanted to do it. I have my reasons. I've thought about it. I've liberated it. I've, got my ducks in a row with this decision. It wasn't something that I did lightly. I did it intentionally. So if I did it intentionally, then I fucking mean it. And I'm not just doing it because of some little petty thing that, can be overlooked and easily moved on from. Like, I have my reasons, and I feel like that reason is enough to just not question me on why I don't fuck with somebody. So going into that weekend, my biggest goal was I wanted to acknowledge his existence as minimal as possible. And granted, it wasn't going to be too hard because when I was living there and I was having to deal with him all the time, I got pretty good at not acknowledging his existence, but I was just going to up the ante and I was going to up the level, and it was going to be something that he wasn't even prepared for. Not that I cared. We started off the weekend strong. We came in, we flew in. My dad picked me and my husband up from the airport. And we were going to have to pass the bar that my girlfriend works at in some kind of capacity from getting to the airport to my dad's house. So I was like, I kind of really want to surprise her. I was going to see her on Sunday, but I really just wanted to see her first. And so I had asked my dad if we can make this pit stop. And he was like, yeah, sure, no problem. It's your weekend. We'll do what you want. So she had no fucking idea. And I was so excited that I at least got like one big surprise out of the weekend. So we were able to surprise her. We hung out for like an hour or so. Then I drove home, got a fucking calf cramp because I'm not used to dealing with traffic. And where you go, gas brake, gas brake, gas brake, gas brake, gas brake, gas brake, gas brake for like 3 miles. I fucking hated it. I was like, there's no point from this traffic. Nothing pisses me off more than pointless traffic. And the fact that they closed like 3 lanes or 3 or 4 lanes out of a 6-lane highway and got it down to 2 is fucking pathetic. And there is nobody even working on the fucking freeway. So you made us go down into 2 lanes for nothing. I hate it. I hated it so much. But luckily, that was like the only really like spot or like spurred. I don't know. Like it was the only time through the whole weekend that there was actually like traffic. So I wasn't really complaining too much. It was just annoying because I had to drive it. So that was fun. But so we ended up getting back to my dad's house. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm tired. I've been up since like 8 o'clock. I was running around before we even got on the flight. I was, doing a whole bunch of things. And I just wanted to get there, get the bed set up, take a shower, and go to bed because I knew we were going to have to wake up like really early the next day to go surprise my cousins. The fact that I wasn't even in the door yet and he had already come out to like greet me was annoying. Like he just said it was just fucking weird, like what he said to me. Like we hadn't seen or spoken to each other in a couple years, and like the first thing he said was that, and I was just like, no. So he greets me, and I just barely give him a glance, and I just walk right by him and go into the living room because I'm like, I'm not here to fucking acknowledge your existence. And my husband says a greeting, and then we just go about our business. And then I'm not even in this house for 5 fucking minutes. And my dad, ever the peacemaker. I love my dad. We all know how much I love my dad. I did a whole episode about me and my dad, but he's always the peacemaker. And if anybody in the family, even if it's not just our house, like even like if the cousins are beefing or if like his brothers are beefing, like literally if anybody in the family is beefing, my dad's got something to say about it. And because he just wants everybody to be on good terms and he wants everybody to have a good time and he just kind of wants everybody to get along. That's just who he is. But because he's ever the peacemaker, he had to come up to me and go, can you please tell your brother hi? And another thing about my dad is he'll always remind you of like the title or like the relationship you're supposed to have with another member of the family. So like he's really big on that stuff. Whereas I don't care anymore. I don't just give titles out, which we know. I think I've done a podcast about it. I've done an episode about it, but it's just like the whole thing. If I don't fuck with you, you're not going to have a title. Like I don't call him my brother for a reason because he hasn't done anything to deserve that title from me. He hasn't done anything to deserve me associating myself with him as like, that's my brother. Like, no. Same thing with my mom. She's never done anything to deserve the title of mom. So why am I going to just give it to her? See what I'm saying? But my dad's big on like your mom, your grandpa, your cousin, like your whatever. And I'm just like, cool. So he comes up to me and he's like, can you please tell your brother hi? And I just didn't say anything, didn't have to, just looked at my dad and he goes, yes, you can. Because he knows damn well I was thinking I don't want to and I don't need to and I'm not going to. He goes, yes, you can. And I just rolled my eyes and kind of went about what I was doing. We get the bed all set up. We're going to go, me and my husband need to go take a shower. So we go into the bathroom together. And then I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm not even in this house for 5 fucking minutes. And he already went and complained to dad. He went and bitched to dad. And dad had to come and try and tell me that I need to be nice. I was just fucking annoyed. Something I realized after I came back and after I kind of got that distance and separation after the whole weekend was over, one of the reasons why that bothered me so much is because once again, I was going to have to compromise and sacrifice who I am for somebody else's feelings. Mind you, somebody that doesn't even matter to me. Like, their existence is meaningless to me. The fact that I was having to compromise myself and who I am because their feelings got hurt is fucking annoying, and I'm over it, and I don't care. I don't care about his feelings. I don't. If he's mad about it, that's a him problem. That's not for me to fucking do. And the fact that I was having to placate my dad and, make sure that his precious son was, I say that ironically because that's my nickname, but make sure his son was feeling nice. Just no, fuck that. I wasn't interested. And honestly, I never even said hi. Now that I'm thinking about it, because the next morning I'm getting ready, and thank God for my husband. Let me just put that out there as well, because we had an agreement going into this weekend. He was my buffer, and we were going to have to be, at some point in the weekend, we were going to have to be stuck in a car for 2 hours both ways to go to this lunch to surprise my cousins. And we weren't sure who was going to be in what car. We got to the point that I told my husband, if we have to be in the same car with him, you're sitting in the middle. And my husband is a 6'3", like, tank of a dude. And normally, if anybody had to go in the middle, it was going to be me because I'm always the tiniest. But I was like, no, I'm not sitting next to him for 2 fucking hours both ways. I'm not doing that. So I was like, you're going to sit in the middle. My dad doesn't need a rearview mirror at this point. Like, you can turn around. And my husband was about it. He's like, okay, I'll sit in the middle. I don't care. Like, he was very much just whatever I needed, he was going to be there. Even like that first night while we're taking a shower, like, he just saw like my body language and just how I was, like, not even 5 minutes. And I was like, it was like I was being like ripped back into my old life, my old identity that I don't have anymore. Like, I'm not that person. I don't live here anymore. I wasn't this version of myself that my dad and his son are used to. She's dead. She's no longer able to come to the phone right now. Like, she's gone. You're not going to talk to her anymore. You get to deal with this version and who I am now. And who I am now doesn't fuck with this shit. So it was really like an old version was not like necessarily trying to come back from the dead, but like they were trying to make it come back from the dead, because that version got along better with his son. And it was just, I tolerated him at that point, and I don't do it anymore. So my husband kind of just like gave me that like reminder of like, we're only here for a couple days. Like, we're going to get through this. It's going to be fine. Like, I'm right here. You don't have to worry about anything. And he held up his side of the bargain that he was going to be my buffer the whole weekend, because the next morning when I was getting ready and doing my makeup in the bathroom, my dad's son came up and was like, just started talking to me. And I was so thankful that I was doing my makeup and I had a reason not to look at him. Granted, I wasn't going to look at him anyway, but I had a super valid reason as to why I wasn't. My husband heard us talking, and I'm trying to make this the fucking like smallest, shortest, uninterested conversation I can possibly think of, because I'm not interested in the person I'm talking to. I don't want this to continue. I'm over it. So my husband hears us talking, and he comes into the bathroom and he pops his head in the doorway and he's like, hey, like, I'm just checking on you. Do you need anything? And I just say, oh, just your love and attention. And then the other one says, oh yeah, because mine isn't good enough. And I'm just thinking to my husband, I mean, you're not wrong. I don't want either of those things. I'll take my husband's love and affection and attention, that's for sure. Like, that's no question. My husband came into the bathroom and they started talking. And I was like, thank fucking Christ, because I'm done with this. Luckily, we weren't having to drive with him at all. So I was hanging out with one of my uncles in the back seat. So I was in the middle and I was fine with it. There's nothing I personally hate more than having to talk about something that I'm not interested in, or people that I'm not interested in. Like, if I'm not interested in it, don't make me have a conversation with it, because I'm not going to have a good time. Luckily, I didn't have to have a lot of conversations to my dad's son or even about him in general. But there was still some conversations that got brought up. And at one point, I got asked if I hated him so much because I have his number blocked on my phone and I haven't talked to him in a couple years. And what I said was, I don't hate him. And I don't. Like, I don't even hate his mom. Like, I do not hate them. Because to me, like, to hate someone, now, if we were talking hockey, I hate a lot of people in hockey. But in my personal life and in the people that I've decided are no longer needed and that I don't need to be around them, they don't need to be around me, like, those type of people I don't hate. Do I have reason to hate them? Absolutely. I've got the trauma, the therapy bills, and the fucking tears to prove it. Like, I have very valid reasons to hate these people. But I don't. I just don't care about their fucking existence at all. That's the truth of it. And honestly, because to me, like, to hate somebody is to, like, I wish death upon them. And I don't wish them death, because honestly, death is a kindness. Like, I don't hate him. I just don't fucking care that he exists. And I don't feel like there's anything wrong with that. And maybe people are going to have some strong feelings about that stance, but I don't care. I feel like we need to normalize letting people not fuck with other people and it not affecting you in the slightest. For example, me and my dad, we have a great relationship. Me and my dad are solid. My husband jokes that there's no secrets between me and my dad because I talk to my dad almost as if like most women talk to their moms. Like I can call my dad right now. We'd have like a good solid like 10, 15-minute conversation like about nothing. But like if I were to need him and I were to like if I needed his advice or I needed just somebody to listen to me, my dad's always an option. So like me and my dad have a very strong and solid relationship that I'm very thankful for. Me not fucking with his son does not affect mine and my dad's relationship at all because it doesn't involve my dad. Granted, at the beginning, like I said during the Butterfly Kisses episode, I had my own feelings toward my dad about everything that went down with his son, but they were my own feelings that I had to work through. And I then just had to realize my dad's a person. And while the feelings I had for him and towards him were valid, they weren't his doing. And like he didn't specifically do anything to warrant me having these feelings. And because I kind of worked through all that, I was like, you know, this isn't his fault. I mean, if you ask the right people, yeah, it could be his fault because he gave, he supplied the sperm that created his son. But how was he supposed to know? And honestly, as much as it sometimes pains me to acknowledge, even though I don't care for his son's existence, I wouldn't wish that it never happened. Because while that would then mean, yes, my trauma from him never happened, it also means the person that I am and the lessons that I learned from all that didn't happen either. That's such a annoying realization to have, is because while we can wish like every day of the year that we want to go back and make it so like XYZ didn't happen. And while, yeah, I could theoretically, if somebody were to walk in right now and be like, I have a time machine and you can go back to, one point in your life to change something, what would it be? And honestly, I wouldn't change anything. Because honestly, thinking back about all of the trauma that I endured, it was nothing that I did that caused the trauma. Granted, I'm sure if you asked my dad's ex-wife and his son, they probably have a lot of reasons as to why they did what they did. But I know, to my core, the choices that I made didn't warrant any of the things that had happened to me. So how can I redo something that I didn't even do wrong in the first place? Horrible things happened to me, and a lot of things were done to me that caused me a lot of problems psychologically, mentally, emotionally, physically, probably in some way. But it was still nothing that I did. So I can't change. The only way that those situations wouldn't have happened is if they were different people, and I can't change them. I can't. I can't change them from today to eternity, and I can't change them from yesterday to when they were born. None of that's my fucking business. But I can guarantee he's probably the same fucking person that he was when I left him when I moved out 4 years ago. He's the same person that he was when he was a shitty teenager, and he's the same person that he was when he was a shitty kid. And I've experienced him at every single point of those stages of his life. So I don't fucking care. Same thing with my dad's ex-wife. I can guarantee 100%, even though I haven't talked to her outside of a courtroom in over a decade, even the small instances, the small situation when I did have to speak to her in a courtroom, she's still the same fucking person that she was when she left, the same fucking person she was when I was a teenager, and the same fucking person she was when I was a kid. They're the same fucking people. I'm not interested in being around people that don't want to change, or that don't acknowledge when they've done something that's wrong, especially to people that they did it to. I have no business with them. I have no interest in them. I don't want to be around them in any way, shape, or form because I have no use for them. They don't teach me anything. All they teach me is I'm still a shitty person and you should not be around me. So I did. They're not around me anymore. They're fucking nowhere in sight, and it is amazing. I don't have to worry about them popping up on my phone unexpectedly for no fucking reason at all, and to say some random, probably guilt-filled fucking message to me that I have no interest in reading. I don't have to hear their voices anymore. Like, it's so nice. Like, I found my own peace. And for people that do find their own peace at whatever stage that is, you should always do whatever you can to protect that peace because you're responsible for your own peace. And just like you're responsible for your own happiness. Yeah, other outside influences can have an effect on your happiness and your peace, but you're still the main driving force behind them. So if you're doing something that's not bringing you peace or not making you happy, you have the conscious and subconscious decision to change that. You can quit the job. You can get a different car. You can, leave that relationship. You can end that friendship. You can move to a different state. You can literally do whatever you want to change what's not bringing you peace or making you happy. You just have to do it. When I have to interact with people that have no interest in changing anything about themselves and then complaining about nothing going their way or, nothing good happening to them, why are we having this conversation? Like, you make choices every day that could lead you to a better tomorrow. And if you're always just making the same decisions that give you a shitty today, your tomorrow's going to be just as shitty, if not worse. So, that's just my food for thought of kind of decompressing from that trip. It was an overall good trip, and I was really excited about all the people that I got to visit with. I got to hang out with literally every single one of my cousins except one, and we talked to that said cousin like a month prior, we could have made it all happen. But, it is what it is. And I'm still happy with everybody that I did get to see. And I also got to see my in-laws, my sisters, and their families came out because my dad ended up throwing us a huge barbecue on Sunday because Saturday was like the big cousin surprise, and Sunday, originally my dad was like, you can take one of the cars and you can drive up to visit my husband's side of the family. And I was like, oh yeah, that'd be fun. Like we can go hang out with his sisters and kind of see all the kids and everything. And also most likely probably my girlfriend too. And then a couple weeks later, my dad goes, so I was thinking, and I was like, of course you were. And he goes, why don't I just throw a giant barbecue and I'll cook the food and you can invite whoever you want to visit with and hang out with to the house and we'll just have a barbecue. And I was like, okay, yeah, that sounds fine. Ran it by my sisters. They were like, yeah, that sounds good. Lee said it was a good idea. So then we started inviting a whole bunch of people out. It was good. The people that came out, I was really thrilled with. And I was pulled in a lot more different directions because once my in-laws kind of got there, I knew my husband needed his time with his family. So I was kind of just like bouncing around a bunch of different groups. But I kind of had like my family time the day before. So it wasn't like I needed to hang out with like family members, but I did. I didn't get to see all of them the day before, but still, I had some old friends that I used to hang out with from high school come out and visit, and I was super thrilled to see them because I haven't seen them since I moved, and it was good to see them. Got to see my in-laws, and then obviously my girlfriend and her man showed up. So it was just an overall like really fun time. And my dad he's such a good barbecuer. Like he just makes really good food. His girlfriend, because his girlfriend moved in with him a while ago. It's the first time I've been back to the house since she's been there, and she has done such a good job like transforming that house, and it feels like lived in, I guess, if that makes any sense. But like compared to when his ex-wife lived there and she was in charge of decorating everything and she was in charge of, making it a home, she didn't do a very good job. So it was nice to see like what like the potential of what this house could do, like and how it could look. And I really enjoyed it. And she like jazzed up the backyard and did all kinds of stuff. And I really love what she did with the master bathroom. Like she painted like a really nice blue and has like a nautical thing happening around. And I was like, good job. And someone had mentioned that my dad won't let her paint the walls. And so I asked my dad at one point, I was like, why won't you let her paint? And he was just like, I was like, okay, well, if like money wasn't an option, would you let her paint? And he was like, oh yeah, of course. I was like, okay, so he just needs the money to let her paint. But when that day comes, I'm excited to see what she does with it. It was an overall really good time. And then just those super minor annoying moments that I wanted to come talk about because, yeah, like I said, throughout this whole episode, we should just normalize allowing people not to fuck with other people. Unless you're the one being, like, unless it's you that's getting cut off from somebody, it's none of your business. It's nobody's business. It's your own personal business. If you make the decision that this person are no longer good for you and what you want to do and who you want to be and people you want to have surrounding yourself, that's your business. If you're the one of the people that don't make the cut, then that's, your issue to kind of address. Like, why didn't I make the cut? Well, because you did X, Y, Z. And I don't like how you did X, Y, Z. And this is why. And I'm not putting up with it anymore. And unless you being the person that's getting cut off decide to make a whole lot of deep reflection, internal psychological change about like almost basically like who you are as a person, I have no interest in hearing what you have to say to me. Because normally, in my experiences with these type of people, they don't change. So if you're not going to change, there's nothing for us to talk about. I set the boundary that I'm not putting up with this behavior. And you're going to continue to do that behavior, so I have no interest in being around you. I stand on business. And I'm proud of myself for this whole trip for standing on business as much as I did in any ways that I could. And It might not have seemed a lot to other people, but to me, I knew what I was doing differently when even just simply introducing people to a new person that came into the house and I never met my family before. Like, even something as simple as that, where I was like, I'm not introducing him as anything other than just his name. And honestly, if I could have said my nickname for him that I have for him, and I talked to my husband and a couple of very choice select people, if I were to just say that nickname, then everybody would have something to say about it. But that's my preferred way of calling him and addressing him. But I can't do that. So his name was going to be enough. And that was like the most that anybody was going to get out of me. Yeah. My dad ended up telling me right before he dropped me off at the airport that his son wanted to give me a message. And I was like, okay, still not interested. Not going to change my mind about who I want around me and who I want to spend my time with. Like I said at the beginning of this podcast, if that makes me the villain, I will adjust my crown accordingly. Because, damn, do I think I would look good with a fucking crown. Especially like an evil crown. Yes. Like, the evil queen from Once Upon a Time. I loved her outfits. She fucking slapped. Anyway, that was my month. Even though it was mainly just a weekend that I was talking about, a lot of the month went into mentally preparing for that one weekend and then decompressing mentally and emotionally from that same weekend. So yeah, that's what I've been dealing with. If you agree that not fucking with people is nobody's business other than your own, then please like, comment, and subscribe to the podcast. Rate it 5 stars. And don't forget to follow the podcast on social media. It is Bitch Bet Podcast, all one word with an I. Yeah, let me know your thoughts about not fucking with people and how you've come to that conclusion for yourself. Because there's nothing wrong with not fucking with somebody. And don't let anybody tell you anything different. As always, all the negative voices in your head, bitch bet. And I will see you guys next month.